let's get our acceleration. By the way, I'm in the manual mode, starting in second gear here. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going over an RX 350 F Sport handling package. So first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Lexus here in Murray for providing us with the RX 350. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get right into the video. Under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, fuel economy is 19 around town and then 26 on the highway, with power outputs being 295 horsepower and then 267 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end on the RX 350. So first off, I absolutely love the kind of like sharp edges all over the front end. You can see these two body lines coming from either side on the hood, just kind of come down right into that signature grille. And then you can see you've got full LED lights here, and I love the LED accent light that mimics none other than the Lexus logo. You get your fog lights down below. There are parking sensors here on the front, one's integrated into the grille as well, and then there's a camera actually below the Lexus logo. But overall, the front end design looks really, really good. I love what they did in the 2020 model year, and obviously they've carried it over into the 2021s. Around the side here, we've got two 35mm tires wrapped around 20-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear. And then in terms of the finish, it's kind of like a machine gray finish on the wheels themselves. I think it's definitely a really, really solid look, and it actually goes very well with the white paint on this particular one. Got the little F Sport badge right there. I love how they've done the mirrors in black to kind of accent the car, but here is kind of a full side view, and notice how they do kind of like the floating roofline design there in the rear. Coming into the rear, you actually get F Sport RX floor mats, which is definitely a pretty nice touch. And then you see you got the first aid kit right there. And then these little levers right here will lower down the second row. And you can see there's a cargo cover right there as well. And they even give you LED lights even in the back, which most car manufacturers won't do that. But in terms of the storage space back here, it's a pretty decent amount, and that's all for the rear. Now coming here into the rear of the RX, you can see you've got that floating roof line, and then they've kind of kept to the style of the older taillights, but you can see the LEDs are a whole lot sharper looking, so definitely a big plus on that. Then you got more F Sport badging, so everyone knows that you have an F Sport. And I think it's pretty cool what they've done with the look for the exhaust outlet, and then they do like a mini rear diffuser back here for the handling package, which again, pretty cool little touch, but just interesting to see that on an SUV. Got the camera back there as well, but overall, really good looking rear end, and let's head to the back. Looking at the door panel over here in the rear, you can see that we've got this really nice soft touch leather all along here, and then we're going to rest your arm as well. And they've done this cool like grained metallic trim, which again, I just think it's a really cool look right there. Pretty normal door handle though. And you got a couple speakers for the sound system, and then here are the seats in the rear. So again, you can see full leather seats, and they've got nice perforations there in the center, bunch of white stitching to contrast it. And in terms of the feel of them, very soft to the touch. But as always, let's actually pop in. So step in height, it's actually pretty easy to get back here. If you're wondering, I'm about 5'11", and well, the seats are kind of in recline mode, so it helps out with headroom. You can see legroom is pretty decent as well, and yes, I'm wearing pants for like the first time in my life. And then we can see we've got a couple vents over here, got a couple USBs right there at the bottom, and then this pulls out to be an armrest, and then some cup holders. You just got to click that, and then they kind of like come out. It's pretty interesting look. It's like, voila, your cup holders have arrived. Let's take a look at the front door panel. So you can see you've got that nice trim right here, and then you've got the stitching all along as well with all of these soft touch leather. All of your controls for the windows, mirror controls in the normal place. Memory seats are on the side of the door. And then coming over here, we can see that you've got the front seats, which look really cool actually for an SUV. They've got these really nice bolsters. Don't worry, the seats are really wide, so if you're a little bit of a larger size person, you'll still be able to fit in these seats very comfortably. And then you can see the bolsters down here below, and you can see just how soft everything is. You got your adjustments on the side of the seat, got a little Lexus plaque right there. And then I love the pedals, definitely did a really good job with just how they look overall. Got an adjustment on the side of the steering wheel, and then over here you can see you've got this to open up the rear hatches for the camera system, your steering wheel, and then for the lights. But the camera system, we'll go over that in just a moment. And there's one more look before we pop in. Here's a quick look at the steering wheel in the RX 350. You can see you've got smooth leather on the top and the bottom, and then you got the little F Sport badge right there, and then perforated leather on these sides where you're actually gonna grab it so you get a little bit better grip. Paddle shifters on the back as well, so you can shift the gears yourself. And then so you've got the controls for the voice commands, phone controls, your lane departure assistance, this is your collision assistance, then pages for the center stack. Light control is on that side. Cruise control is behind it, and then you've got the windshield wiper stalk on the other side. But that's the steering wheel. Now here is the center stack in the RX 350. You can see that you've got like the temperature gauge over there on the right side. In the center, you've got the RPMs, and then you also have like a digital speedo in that little area as well, which all just looks really cool. Now first off, we're actually gonna go over the drive modes. So there's a little dial that I'll show you a little bit later, but you can see that that actually pops into the different drive modes, and notice how they actually change the whole look of the gauge cluster depending on what drive mode that you actually go into. And if you guys are wondering, on the little dial right here, so this is what it is, and you push over for eco, you push in for normal / custom, and then over for sport, and over again for the sport plus mode. But yeah, I think that's really cool how that actually changes the gauge cluster. And then we can see off to the left hand side, there's a little area that shows different bits of information. You can see like the music, you can see information on the vehicle itself, and you can see stuff on the safety tech, and then if you have any messages with warnings on the vehicle or anything like that. Pretty straightforward system. The gauge cluster, that's the cool part. Here for the center screen, we're first gonna go over the camera system aspect of it. You see when you pop it into reverse, you'll get a backup camera, and then you get a bird's eye view as well. And then you can click the little screen to change how the viewpoint actually looks on the camera. And by the way, if you guys didn't notice, when I popped it into reverse, the mirrors do tilt down with the reverse on the camera system. And then the other part of the camera system is that button you guys saw a little bit earlier that I showed you. If you press that, that'll give you kind of like a little 360 view on the car in the infotainment system, which is pretty neat. But other than that, that's the whole camera system. With the rest of the screen, you can control it via a pad, but then it's also a touch screen. So you can see popping over here on the menu, I can go over to phone, for example, and I can click on it, or I can use a little pad to control everything. So whatever you prefer, you can use. So like I can go over to apps and then use it as a touchscreen. The response time with the touchscreen aspect is really good. If you guys are wondering what the whole pad system looks like, you've got a couple buttons right here, and then you actually have the little pad that you do. It's just like a little mouse scroller. It does take a second to get used to, but once you get used to it, it's pretty simple. And having the shortcut buttons is definitely nice. And so I think that most people that have this will probably use a combination of the screen and then the pad. Probably use the screen to do like shortcut buttons like the menu button, and then once you get to like a screen like this, then you'll probably just go over and click the little touchscreen aspect of it. Down below the infotainment system, you've got the little Lexus clock right there, and then you have your analog controls for the radio and then also for the climate just down below, and it is a dual zone climate in the RX 350. And then down here you can see you've got a couple of USBs and then a 12 volt, and then you can see just like hiding in there, that's a wireless phone charger. And then right next to it, you can see you've got the heated and ventilated seat controls for the RX, and then you can see auto hold for a hill, and then your parking brake. Here's the shifter for the 8-speed automatic. You can manually shift the gears yourself if you'd prefer. Couple of cup holders in this little area, and then here's that keypad that I showed you guys just a little bit earlier. Now we have this whole area, so this is kind of just like a little armrest, so they kind of expect you to put your hand here while using that actual keypad portion of the RX. And then you can see this is where the drive mode select is, and then you've got the locker and then your stability control. And then for the center console, pretty straightforward. And notice that it's actually notched, so you can kind of basically just pick it up and you can leave it at different portions, or you can just open it all the way, whatever you prefer. And then you can see that you've got another 12 volts, a couple of USBs inside of that. And then finally coming over here to the glove box, you can see it's a little button right there. So a little bit different, but completely lined with felt. And then you can see above the glove box, you've got the nice leather and stitching all up here as well. And then across with the venting, and just kind of look how that all comes together in the interior of the RX. As you can see, you've got your sunroof controls up here, and then you have a sunglass holder as well. And if you guys are wondering, pretty normal mirror. It's not like a camera mirror or anything like that, but you can see the visibility out of it is actually pretty good. And then obviously this lets a whole bunch of light into the cabin. And then they actually have a softer type headliner on this. It's not suede or anything, it's just softer cloth material. And then it's all black as well. Now that we're done going over the interior on this RX 350, let's quickly get into the pricing. So in terms of pricing, the stickers for about $62,000 before any type of market adjustment. That all being said, let's take this RX 350 F Sport handling package out and see how it drives. Let's quickly talk about the visibility here in the RX 350 F Sport handling package before we set off. So you can see visibility over the hood's actually pretty decent. Now the dash is a little bit on the long side, but it's not bad by any means. There's your visibility through both the mirrors, and this does come with blind spot monitoring. Then here's your visibility through the rear. So remember, there is a little bit of a blind spot there because of the sloped design that they do, but it does have blind spot monitoring, so it kind of fixes that whole issue. And that all being said, let's set off. We're initially setting off here in the RX 350 F Sport handling package. And first off, let's talk about the road noise and ride quality, because I'm sure a lot of you might be concerned with this new handling package that might be a little bit rougher, might be a little bit louder, and I'm excited to tell you that it's not. It is just as smooth as a regular RX 350. It doesn't feel any rougher from a ride quality perspective, and I'm not really noticing any extra noise. And I guess we'll put the H in the handling here and kind of see how it goes. I mean, I can't really perceive a difference between this and a regular RX 350. It feels like it handles about the same, but again, that's not like a super high-speed corner or anything like that. We'll kind of see with the steering. Steering feels about the same. I mean, this feels like pretty direct for this size of SUV that it is, but it really doesn't feel all that much different. It's pretty similar. So far it seems like it's pretty much the same, but we'll kind of see once we get our acceleration up here in a minute. Now let's get our acceleration. By the way, I'm in the manual mode, starting in second gear here. So those shifts are actually pretty quick with this 8-speed automatic. I'm very impressed. We'll kind of do a downshift there. Yeah, even when you click off the downshifts, even when you're not on throttle, they actually happen at a relatively quick pace. So it's good from an acceleration standpoint from the transmission. In terms of the engine, it is a bigger sized SUV. You guys heard the power outputs. Again, it's right where it should be for this kind of category. Most of these SUVs in this category have right around 300, maybe mid threes for the horsepower, unless it's like a crazy performance variant. But yeah, again, it's right where it should be with this segment. And let's actually get into summing things up with this RX 350 F Sport handling package. So like I kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, I'm not really perceiving that much of a difference from like a handling perspective. And then obviously the power outputs are exactly the same compared to a regular RX 350. And so I think that this is just one of those packages where obviously you get a little bit of a cooler name, you get a little bit better aesthetics on the outside and all that, which there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, like I said, I really can't perceive a difference. And compared to other SUVs in this segment, I mean, you guys know that Lexus is great with the reliability on the cars, and the build quality is just fantastic. Like, everything not only feels nice to the touch, but it also feels very durable as well. They're just very, very well built cars. And we'll kind of take another turn here and see if I can kind of feel a little bit of difference. Okay, it actually definitely feels like it might turn in just a little bit better, so I was wrong. But still, like I was saying, they're just such well-built cars, and so if you want a car that's really reliable, that has really good build quality, then Lexus is definitely the route to go. And I would definitely check out one of these new RX 350 F Sports because they look cool. That is going to sum things up for our video on this 2021 Lexus RX 350 F Sport handling package. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Lexus here in Murray for providing us with the RX. Check out their inventory in the link below. I will see all of you in the next video.